Hi, welcome to Miss Riley's Maths videos. This is a trigonometry video. It's a Leaving Cert ordinary level video on non-right angle triangles. So at Junior Cert you only deal with right angle triangles in trigonometry, but at Leaving Cert we deal with non-right angle triangles. And in this case we're looking at a rule that we're given to help us to find a missing side or a missing angle in a triangle. And it's called the sine rule. Okay. Now the key thing with this is that the labeling of our sides is different than it was for right angle triangles. We talked about this briefly when we looked at the area of a triangle using for a non-right angle triangle, so we'll talk about it again today. So as I say, the first thing is that it's for non-right angle triangles. So if you have a right angle triangle, you're going to use SOHCAHTOA to find a missing side or a missing angle. So this is for a non-right angle triangle. And remember, the labeling, as we said, for the area of a triangle is different. So the angles are labeled with capital letters and the sides opposite them go with the same letter but with a small letter. So if that's angle A, that's side A opposite it. If that's angle B, that's side B. And if that would be angle C, that's side C. Okay, so this is for a non-right angle triangle, and that's how we label our sides. The sine rule, which is in your tables book, says that the side A over the sine of the angle opposite it is the same. When I divide those two, I get the same number as if I divide side B over the sine of the angle opposite it, and it's the same if I divide side C over the sine of the angle opposite it. And what we'll find as we use the sine rule for a non-right angle triangle is that I need 3 out of any 4 of those. 3 out of 4. And what we'll find as we go on is that if I don't have 3 out of 4, then I'll have to use the cosine rule. So later on we'll look at the cosine rule when we don't have 3 out of 4. Now what do I mean by having 3 out of 4? What that means is that taking any of these 4 together, I'd need 3 of them. I'd need to have the information about the sizes of the angles or the length of the side. It doesn't matter if out of 4 of them I only have these 3. That means I can still use the rule. Okay, so it'll become clearer now as I do an example. So here's an example. We've got a triangle. We've got sides and angles. So let's first of all check, is it a rat? In other words, is there a 90-degree angle? Now it looks like there might be a rat, because if I add 68 plus 33, I mean that looks like it almost could be a right angle triangle. 68 and 33 gives me 101 degrees. So actually the other angle in the triangle must be 79 degrees. Isn't that right? 8 and 3 is 11, 6 and 3 is 9, must be 79. So this must be 79. So actually no, it's not a rat. So can't use SOHCAHTOA. Now obviously you're not going to write this down when you're answering a question, but it's good. That's the thought process that I'm going through. Is it a rat? Is there a 90-degree angle? No, there's not a 90-degree angle, so I can't use SOHCAHTOA. So the next thing, so that's step 1. Step 2 is label the triangle. So let's label this triangle. Let's take the thing that we're looking for and call it A, though it doesn't really matter. So that would make that angle A because it's opposite it. Let's call this B, and that would make that angle B because it's opposite. And then this other angle is C, and that means that's side C. Okay, so I've labeled my triangle. The next thing I'm going to do is fill in to the sine rule. So A over sine A is equal to B over sine B is equal to C over sine C. So let's write what we have. A is X. Okay, I'm looking for that, so I don't have that. But I have the angle opposite it, and I have a side B, and I have the angle opposite it. Okay, so that's looking good. I don't have side C, but I do have the sine of the angle opposite it. But I'm not looking for C. Like, C is irrelevant. There's no mention of C. I just happen to find angle C. So actually, we'll ignore those guys. Now, here's our 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I have 3 out of those 4? 1, 2, 3. I have 3 out of 4. Yes. Okay, 3 out of 4. Yes. So I can use the sine rule. So the sine rule, x over, I'm just going to rewrite it so that it's less cluttered. X over sine 68 is equal to 9 over sine 33. Now this is the difficult part. Okay, I want that sine 68 to be away from the x because I want x by itself. To solve for x, I need x by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply. Remember, if we have something that's making a fraction and we want to get rid of it, we multiply both sides by that number. It's just weird because it's sine 68. They would cancel out, and what I'd be left with is x is equal to 9 times sine 68 over sine 33. Now you could say magic maths. You could say x over sine 68 is equal to 9 over sine 33. I want to move that to the other side. If it's dividing here, it's going to multiply on the other side. X is equal to 9 sine 68 over sine 33. As I say, that's what I call magic maths. Okay, you don't really understand why you're doing it, but you're doing it, and it works the same way. So what I'm left with here is that x is equal to 9 sine 68. So let's do that. 9 times sine 68 equals, divided by sine 33 equals, so x is equal to 15.32. Now don't forget, you've got to check that that little letter up there is a D. If it's a G or if it's an R, you're going to get the wrong answer. So if you got a different answer to that when you did it on your calculator, check that that's a D. And the way you change that is you do shift, mode, and C degrees. You press 3. The G would be the G at the top, which is gradients, and this would be radians, but we always use degrees, so you want it to be 3, and that'll make sure that's a little D up there. Okay, so x is 15.32. So what have I found? I found that the side x in my triangle is 15.32. Okay, now let's do one more. So let's take another example. We have a triangle here, which is 44, 38, 44 degrees, 38 degrees, 10 and x, and let's label. So is it a rat? Is it a rat? Let's add these up. 48 plus 30, 44 plus 38 is 82. 180 degrees minus 82 is going to be 98 degrees. So this is 98, so it's not a rat. Okay, so label my triangle. To label the triangle, so this is going to be called A, so that is A because it's directly opposite. This is going to be B, so that's B, which is directly opposite, and this is going to be C, and that's C, directly opposite it. Write down the sine rule. So A over sine A is equal to B over sine B is equal to C over sine C. So what do we have? We have, let's make sure that's focused. We have that A, which is what we're looking for, which is x, over sine of the angle opposite it, sine 44, is equal to B, which is 10 over sine opposite it, sine 38. Okay, is equal to C, which we don't know, over sine 98. Again, C really has nothing to do with it. Okay, we don't have to find C, we just worked out C ourselves, we don't need C. So do I have 3 out of 4? 1, 2, 3. Yes, 3 out of 4. So the sine rule is going to work. So x over sine 44 is equal to 10 over sine 38. Multiply both sides by sine 44 because it's messing about with that x, causing a fraction. I don't want the fraction, so multiply both sides by the denominator, which is sine 44. So what I'm left with is x is equal to 10 times sine 44 divided by sine 38. So x is equal to 10 times sine 44 equals, divided by sine 38 equals 11.28. So x, the missing side here, is equal to 11.28. I hope that helps.